What is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today we are back in Forza Horizon 3 building a Holden FX Sedan for drifting. Now, definitely a unorthodox drift car, a little bit of a weird car to pick for a drifting application, but the reason why, and you'll see later, the reason why I wanted to go for this particular car in terms of driftability is because, number one, depending on the design for it, or depending on the design you get for it, you can make it look pretty badass, and you can add a lot of power, and the tires are pretty skinny, even when you upgrade them all the way. So, we actually, as you'll see later on in the video, stuck with street tires and didn't go to, like, race tires or anything like that. But I think that was for the better, considering the fact that the street tires, you still get plenty of grip at the front to shift the car around. But in the back, oh my god, you can... In the back, you don't really have, I mean, you have enough grip, but you don't quite have, like, it's weird. It's like this middle ground of grip to where you can control it when you're sliding, but you have wheel spin up to 6th gear with the engine setup we put in it. Now, some of you guys are probably thinking that paint job looks terrible, and it doesn't exactly look amazing on the standard car, I will say, but trust me, just bear with me, because later on as we go through the build and the build comes together, trust me, the design does complement the car, and it complements the setup with the way the build ends up looking in the end. Now, another one of the things that is kind of weird about this car is that when it came out in the pack, it was probably the least used car in this particular car pack. Not a lot of people used it. They were like, we'll use something else. You know what I mean? But, I mean, a couple people used it, or a few, as you can see from the fact that there are a good amount of designs for it, but I think in terms of, you know, racing and drifting and different things that require, you know, a specific function out of a car, this car wasn't really a top pick for that. However, it's a very easy car to slide around. First off, it's a very, very, very easy car to slide around, very easy car to spin the rear tires, very easy car just to use for this purpose. The only thing that I will say ahead of time that I do want to fix about my personal setup on the car later on down the road is the fact that you'll see in the video a couple times that there is a certain point at which the steering angle is not enough to catch up with the angle of the slide of the car. Just sometimes it just lacks that little bit of extra steering angle. And there are ways to get around that, you know, whether they be a different way, whether it's just being aware of it when you're driving so you don't get to that severe of an angle, or changing up your alignment settings to try to help compensate for it. You're not going to compensate for steering angle completely. I mean, really, the only way to compensate for lack of steering angle is to add more steering angle, but unfortunately, you can't do that, so you have to find other ways to get around that little issue. So, with that being said, I think that at the end of the day, it's actually a really fun car. It's a really fun car to drive. It's a really fun car to slide around, and it's also fun because it's an unexpected car. It's a car that people don't think that you're gonna show up in or with, whichever you prefer. And I think too, the cool thing about it is that you'll see later on in the video, since it is actually effective at scoring a lot of drift points just because of the fact that it's super smooth. It's weird for people to see their scores on the leaderboards being overtaken by this car. They're either like, what is that? Or they know what it is and they're like, are you serious? Really? So it's one of the two reactions. The other main thing that I did was I bumped up the rear end ratio to a 373, which actually helped a lot. I didn't try it with the stock rear end ratio. It didn't really, like, I saw how low it was, and I was like, that is literally an airplane gear. I'm not going to mess with it. So, as you can see, if you want to copy these settings, that's perfectly fine, so you can get to the same, tune that we're at, or if you want to copy them loosely and develop your own tune based on that, that's actually what I would prefer you guys do, because that would be, well, I can't say that, I shouldn't say that's what I would prefer you guys do. I would say that's more of what I recommend you do. You can can see if you want to take different points and inspirations from this particular tune and then apply it to the way you tune. That's what I think is probably the most valuable way to use my tune demonstrations, because this one anyway is a blind tune. So generally what I'll do is I'll put a blind tune on a car and I'll take it out and I'll see what it can do. But I will say having over -3 degrees of camber in the front really does help. Now, first off, it's unlimited wheel spin in any gear. It's got so much torque that the wheel spin in any gear is just absolutely unlimited. I mean, I think the rear tire is like a 225 or something. So it's like stupidly narrow for how much power we're running. Now you can see you will see when we go up this particular drift zone, there will be a spot right at the end where we get kind of stuck due to the steering angle thing, because a lot of the other cars that I drive, I'm used to being able to really throw them in and recover from a certain angle. You'll see right about here where when we transition back into it, it gets to a certain steering angle and then it says, nope, we're not going any further. So here is where we will sit. And basically, I went at it again, figured out not to let it go past a certain angle, and you'll see we just kind of it's like it sails up to the top of the drift zone. It sails around this spiral, and it's weird in a sense, but it's also kind of fun, because you're like, wow, that's like, number one, it's an easy car to control, and number two, it's just like it's easy to control up to a point, and then after that point, it's not so easy. So you have to kind of pick and choose your battles on where you want to like on kind of how far you want to push this car, because if you push it too far, it's done, it's gone. But if you keep it within its own limit, then it's like it's beautiful, it's lovely. So I think that I would classify it as an intermediate drift car. I wouldn't say it's a great beginner one, just because of the fact that it's not the most forgiving car if you throw it in with too much angle. However, if you get a really good run, like say for example down a drift zone like this one, you will absolutely obliterate your previous score. And like I put in 122,000 points, and that was like a huge difference from my last one. I think my last one was like somewhere around 110,000, give or take. It was like somewhere between 112 and 108, I think. But regardless, big difference from that score to this score. And I can't remember what car I set the last score in. It may have been that riced out Vega. I don't remember if that's what it was or not, but it may have been that riced out Vega, if I'm not mistaken, which it would be hilarious if it was. Either that or, well, it was either that or the C7 Z06. It may have been the C7 Z06, I think. But anyways, moving on, the car in general, I would give a recommendation if you're okay with tinkering with the tune and building it to suit your personal style. If that's okay with you, then go for it. Like, no big deal at all. Go for it, no problem. If you have a lot of experience, you're going to have a lot of fun with this car. If you're new to it, you can still go for it, but don't expect to be great with it right out of the box. Either that or expect to feel like it's really easy right off the bat, and then when you push it to just a tad bit more angle than it likes, and it tells you nope, you're not having that back, then you're gonna realize that it's not quite as easy of a car as you may have originally thought. But it's okay, because the car in the next video is super easy, and if you guys are interested in that and you're not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe, because there's a really easy car to drift coming in the next video on Forza Horizon 3, so stay tuned for that. But again, I think, well, not again, because I'm going to talk about something else now, something that I haven't talked about yet with the car. I think that it's one of those cars that if you were to go online with it and show it to your friends, it would be kind of, they might kind of look at you funny, or just ask you why you're using that car. But I think that there's going to be a lot of people that after they see this car do what it can do, they're going to want to build one. Does that make any sense? Like, they're going to want to try it out after seeing what it can do. And I was, personally, I wasn't even that much of a believer in this car until I was like, huh, Like, what the heck? Let's build one and see what happens. Because when the pack came out, I kind of left this car alone. I kind of just didn't really pay much attention to it because I was like, that car's kind of boring. But I think after messing around with it a little bit, it's most definitely the opposite of boring. And I will say, I can say that with full confidence, that it is definitely not a boring car at all. And I recommend it wholeheartedly. For whatever you want to do with it, for whatever you want. Well, I can't say whatever you want to do with it. If you want to use it for drifting, more power to you, go for it. If you want to use it for circuit racing, you might be setting off down a pretty hard road. If you really want, like, I mean, hey, if you really want to use it for circuit racing, I can't stop you. More power to you. But just know, you've got a hell of a road ahead of you if you want to use this thing for circuit racing. So, if you guys did enjoy this build and you would like to see more, don't forget to slam that like button. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to check back soon for more videos like this one. Talk to you guys later.